Let's look at this story, Henry. Britain experiencing a migration surge more than any other country on the rich country list last year. I mean, you know, we're aware that other countries might, on some years, take more people. But if you look at proportions, land mass, goodness knows what else, it seems that our surge was greater than others. Let's hope Keir Starmer's deterrent is still on track. And I think, you know, if you don't remember quite what he's been saying, Henry, I know it's very easy to forget because he's only said it a couple of times, but here's a little reminder.
You will have helped to smash the gangs, secure our borders and save countless lives. Smash the criminal gangs, and they are criminal gangs, that are running this vile trade and putting people in the boats. Take those gangs down. I think smashing the gangs that are taking people's money is a deterrent. I think you have to smash those gangs. The only way to stop that is to smash the gangs that are running this vile trade. Smash the gangs.
There it is, Henry. I don't know if you caught what he was trying to say there, but I think it was something about the gangs being smashed.
Yeah, I think I just about picked it up. I've been a journalist long enough. You learn to read between the lines.
You absolutely do. You've got to use that old journalistic nose on these things.
I mean, it's absolutely remarkable because I mean, this is basically wishful thinking on the part of the Labour government, right? Because it's everyone. No one likes criminal gangs. Everyone, yeah, I've got no objection to Labour smashing criminal gangs if they can do it, right? If it turns out that they're arresting these people and putting them in prison for 1 million years, good for them.
Yeah.
But let's not pretend that the problem here is just the gangs, right? They're not forcing people to come here. They're catering to demand. The problem is that there are vast numbers of people who are willing and able to try and come here illegally.
Yeah.
And you're not going to solve this problem until you find an effective way of deporting those people, catching and deporting them and making it clear that it's not worth the effort because you will not get to stay in the United Kingdom. You know, you talked about the proportional thing. It says, I think even in raw terms, only America has taken more people. Now, if you think about this, America has not only a big land border, but it has like 4% GDP growth. You can sort of see why someone's like America, land of opportunity, they're creating jobs, they're growing Britain hasn't had real GDP per capita or wage growth in about 20 years, right? It's a very expensive, low-wage country. And if you look at the state of our economy for a long time now, and you then think, right, there are masses of people trying to fight their way in.
Yep.
That tells you that we've got a soft touch enforcement, we've got a black market no one places because we don't have ID cards, and we're a ridiculously soft touch on letting people in and letting people stay. Those are the pull factors that any serious government has to deal with.
And one of the issues around this, of course, is that we're not, despite playing the smash the gangs clip, which we can never resist, these are permanent migrants. These are, you know, legal migrants that are coming to this country. And as you rightly say, with no discernible way of being able to ascertain or gauge how the country has prospered as a result. And, you know, America was a good example there. A word on this, if we can, Henry. I mean, the Clifton Suspension Bridge has boycotted X. Now, there's a lot of very sad totemic moments in the arguments about free speech, but when bridges start legging it, you know we're in trouble.
Yeah, I genuinely, when I first saw this, my first reaction was entirely that. It was just like, what's this? It's like a Clifton Suspension Bridge and museum. And it's like, okay, well, actually, and I'm actually slightly torn on it, because on the one hand, you're right, who cares? Fundamentally, who cares? You've got loads of people whom I would be at least more interested in hearing from than the Clifton Suspension Bridge, who've left Twitter. On the other hand, if it was one of those organizations that was on Twitter for the purposes of making public service announcements, it turns out not, because this is mostly a museum, but, like, you know, there are some public organizations where they're on Twitter specifically to give people, like, information updates. Say it had been a major road bridge, for example, and it happened to be tweeting out, like, closures and so on.
Yes.
Well, in which case, like, flouncing out of Twitter and potentially depriving a lot of people of that information would not only be self-indulgent, but it would be the wrong thing to do. Now, happily, in this case, it doesn't turn out to be that sort of thing, but it's remarkable the extent to which a lot of people seem not just to quit Twitter, because people quit Twitter all the time. You know, how many inactive accounts, how many accounts with 5 posts are there? Loads. But who feel they need to make this big announcement that they're leaving Twitter, presumably to a load of people who they think are bad people because we haven't quit yet.
That's exactly that. And a brighter one to finish on here. The John Lewis Christmas ad has been released. Let's have a little look and a listen.
What are you looking for?
Something for you.
You're not going to find it.
No, not here.
I don't want a doll.
I want a nose ring. Jewellery. Is it a politician? What's his comment now? What's happening? This is mine. What's your problem?
It doesn't even look good on you. Get out of my room. And you still haven't even found me a gift.
There it is. They do one of these every year, of course, Henry. It makes it's kind of a festive-y, feel-good, but reflective, a little bit melancholy, but underpinning with a nice message. I did watch that about 6 o'clock this morning, actually, the full 2 minutes of it. They always release a longer one, which I think they sort of play once, and then it's abridged. I didn't really understand it. Something about somebody's sister?
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of playing on what I think is the best one they ever did, which is, I think, giving people have lots strong feelings about this particular series of adverts. I mean, you might get some letters, which was, do you remember the one where they did this girl going all the way through her life while Always a Woman was playing?
Yes.
And she started out as a little girl, and then that was, I think, one of their best adverts. And they do this kind of like, you know, families over time. What does Christmas mean when you've got a kid? Then when they're a teenager and everything else, and yeah, it's fine. I mean, they live in a huge house and they wear sweaters that make them look like they're, you know, during the Blitz or whatever. But I do think sometimes I think the pressure must just be on at this point, right? If you're John Lewis and you've got that back catalogue of Christmas adverts, you can't just make something a bit heartwarming and soppy. There has to be the sort of hit, the emotional hit behind it, the thing that makes you go, oh yeah, no. Like, do you remember the one they did with the skateboarding dad, and then it turned out at the end they were adopting a girl who skateboarded, like, you know, hitting the emotional heartstrings really hard. You can't do that every year.
That's true, but could they not? I mean, and the trampolining dog, of course, which was a big one. It's funny we can remember some of these, so I suppose they do, you know, sit in the memory bank to a certain degree. But I guess, you know, I kind of want to see Father Christmas delivering presents to some kids in one of these ads somewhere.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I think, as I was, it just kind of gets caught up in its own like legend at this point. It's the John Lewis Christmas ad, right? Like, I mean, in how many circumstances are journalists talking about? Yeah, it's the bit of the year where this particular company.
Yeah, they do all right.
They've developed their own style at this point. But yeah, I mean, maybe something, you know, next year. Take the pressure off themselves.
Just bring on Santa. You know, these are like, you look at these, the production values are here. It's about £1 million worth of ad we were just looking at there. I mean, they're huge production values. They clearly work for them at whatever level. Listen, Henry, happy Christmas, by the way. We will speak before then. Henry Hill, Deputy Editor at Conservative Home.